A lot of people have said Pacific Rim is like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for adults, but right there, I'm still waiting to hear a negative because that sounds awesome. Pacific Rim. That's right, got the apocalypse scruff again because Idris Elba said he was canceling the apocalypse, and I thought to myself, I don't give a shit. So it's back, yeah. So Pacific Rim's directed by Guillermo del Toro. He's a very visual director. He's done some really cool shit. For the longest time, he was gonna be the director of the Hobbit movies. Something happened, it fell through, and then Peter Jackson was like, all right, I'll come back to it. The concept of Pacific Rim is there's this portal in the bottom of the Pacific Ocean in which these big evil monsters come up and they just start ravaging the world. They come up one at a time, you know, because they're polite like that. And to fight monsters, we had to create monsters, or at least big robot mechs. So that's what we did, and now we combat them, and now we have our movie. Power Rangers for adults? Maybe, but again, I'm still waiting for that to be a negative. And they say you in the middle of this conflict. They established the world they live in through one of those, you know, Lord of the Rings. All right, these are how the rings were created. This all happened, so now we're here. Prologues? Yeah, it's like that. This takes place after these monsters have been dick slapping all our major cities. We are aware of the situation. We have had mechs to fight them for a long time. And put you right in the thick of it, because they're like, we know you want to see big robots fight monsters, and we gotcha. But in that, you need characters also. Our main character in this movie, he was good, he got the job done. He reminded me of the young dude from Tron Legacy. It's not like you're gonna get his action figure or anything, but he was cool, he got the job done, he's our good protagonist. More interesting character though is this chick he gets set up with. Her name's Mako, and judging by her name, Final Fantasy VII taught us you can turn her into materia. That's what it taught us. She was actually really cool. It was cool to see her train with the dude, and they actually did a good job at telling you a reason why each robot needs 2 pilots. Right when they say it, you're like, okay, that's cool, done. I buy it. Idris Elba kicked ass. He's like the Louis Gossett Jr. of Iron Eagle for Pacific Rim, kind of. We are canceling the apocalypse! Stringer Bell from The Wire is a badass in this movie. He's always a badass though. Idris Elba and Stanley Tucci are the 2 guys where you're like, the movie could be terrible, but you'll still be like, Idris Elba was awesome or Stanley Tucci was awesome, whatever the movie is. But now we come down to it, folks. The fights. Yeah, the robots fighting the big monsters is badass. You know it's gonna be badass. The action was exciting, it was impressive. Some scenes just make your jaw drop. You really feel the scale of these things. These things are enormous, and they feel enormous. That comes from a good director, a director who can actually frame the action up. It's not Transformers, the action's not all like in your face and shit, where you can't even tell what's going on. This movie's framed up to where like when the things are moving, they're moving all big and slow like Shadow of the Colossus, but bigger. And when they're punching, they're all things are all breaking in half. You're like, it's just big. Comparing Pacific Rim to Transformers is like comparing Jurassic Park to Theodore Rex because they both have dinosaurs. It's different. There is an over-the-top element in the movie, but it has nothing to do with the monsters, nothing to do with the robots, or the fights that happen among them. It's actually the scientists. Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who I think is great, is in the movie. And that weird-looking dude from The Dark Knight Rises, who fell through the ice and, yeah, he died. They're both in this movie, and they're both scientists, and they're kind of over-the-top cartoony. I mean, you get it because they're really brilliant and they're geniuses. But Mr. Dark Knight Rises in this movie, he had this cane. He was like Greg House on crack. That's what he was. And you're like, I can take big Iron Man fighting Godzilla because everything is large and moves within relative speed. These guys were just so fast. You're like, you're talking to, slow down, slow down. Slow down. But in the end, I had a blast with Pacific Rim. I was impressed with Pacific Rim. The only gripe I have with Pacific Rim is the scientists were a little cartoony, but right there, it's not enough to bring the movie down. I could find gripes with Star Trek Into Darkness, and I loved that movie. Why do I compare this to Star Trek Into Darkness? Because they have the same rating, because Pacific Rim is awesome-tacular. Finally, holy shit, I almost gave up hope. And if for nothing else, it's one of the only movies that can get a porn spoof and the porn won't have to change its title in order for the title to work. And that ain't nothing. Alright, so Pacific Rim, have you seen it? And what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.